Welcome back to the deep dive. So, I want to start today with a question. If I asked you to name the single most valuable asset a company has,
Huh.
the one thing that really guarantees its future, what would you say?
Well, the immediate answer for most people is the product, right? Have the best product, you win. Or maybe they'll say the customer.
The customer is king, that whole thing.
Exactly. You have no customers, you have no revenue. Seems pretty straightforward.
It does. It feels like the safe answer.
Mhm.
But the material we're digging into today argues that's actually, well, not just wrong, but kind of dangerously incomplete.
It is. The argument here is that the customer isn't really the asset. The customer is a resource.
Okay, that's a subtle distinction, but it feels like a big one.
Oh, it's massive. We're looking at this university lecture on consumer behavior, and the professor uses this great analogy. He says the customer is like a diamond buried in the ground.
Valuable, obviously.
Sure, but
Yeah.
totally useless if you can't get to it. The asset isn't the diamond.
It's the mining equipment.
That's it. The asset is the relationship. It's the whole operation the business builds to, extract that value over time. Without the miner, the diamond just sits there.
I love that image. And we have to talk about where this lecture came from, because wasn't some stuffy professor at a podium.
No, not at all. The context is really unique. The professor's wife was injured, so he had to record this whole complex lecture from home.
So he's juggling all that, but he still has to teach.
Right, and to make it more dynamic, he brings in a co-host, but not a TA or another professor.
He co-hosted it with an AI agent named Xiao Pi.
And this wasn't just a voice reading a script. Xiao Pi was actively debating him, providing the textbook definitions and the ethical high ground.
While the professor was giving the gritty, real-world, we have to survive perspective.
Exactly. It creates this amazing tension. So that's our mission today. Unpack that tension. We're going to look at how businesses calculate your value to them, why you buy things that make absolutely no logical sense, and the ethics of what they call the indulgence economy.
Okay, let's start with that mining concept. If I'm the mine, then the business doesn't really care about me as a person, do they? They care about the yield.
That's the cold, hard math of it. It's all about CLV, customer lifetime value. The lecture is very clear on this. The transaction today is almost irrelevant.
It's all about predicting future cash flow.
It's about how long you'll stick around, how much you'll spend in year 3, whether you'll tell your friends, all of it, your word of mouth, your growth potential.
So someone who buys one expensive thing and leaves is actually less valuable than someone who buys cheap stuff, but forever.
In many cases, yes, because the relationship, the miner, just keeps on digging.
But for that to work, I have to agree to be mined. I have to see some value in it. And that brings us to the value equation.
This is the core concept. It's based on Zeithamel's definition, which sounds super simple. Value is what you get minus what you give.
The gets versus the gives, benefits versus costs.
Right. But it's way more complicated. The get isn't just the product. It's the service. It's personal value. And the big one, image value.
The ego boost, how this makes me look.
Exactly. But the give side, the cost, that's where they really got into the weeds. Because cost is so much more than the price tag.
You're talking about time and effort, I assume.
Yeah, time cost, how long do I have to wait? And effort cost, like the learning curve. If I give you free software that takes 100 hours to learn, the cost is actually huge.
That makes sense. I'll happily pay $20 to avoid reading a manual.
We all do. But the biggest hidden cost is psychological cost. The stress, the anxiety, the fear of making the wrong choice. And this is where they used a really counterintuitive example, a Louis Vuitton bag.
Okay, which has a massive monetary cost.
A huge one. But the argument is, for the target customer, that high price actually reduces the psychological cost.
Wait, walk me through that. Spending $5,000 on a bag would send my stress levels through the roof.
For you and me, yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine someone whose main get is status or belonging. If they buy a cheap bag, they suffer from what you could call social anxiety cost.
Is this good enough? Will people judge me?
Exactly. By paying that massive price, they are literally buying certainty. The high price kills the anxiety of not being enough.
So the high price is actually a feature. It's part of the utility.
That's it. The value is the relief from that social insecurity. It just shows that value is totally subjective. It's all in your head.
Which brings us to another big point. The scope of value. It's not about the item in a box anymore.
No, the box is dead. This is the core versus the extended product. The
Yeah.
core is the thing itself. The extended product is everything else. The support, the software, the community.
This is the Apple trap.
Xiaopi brought that up right away. You don't buy an iPhone just because the hardware is better. Often it isn't. You buy it because of the extended product.
iCloud, iMessage, the App Store.
The whole ecosystem. It's the mining equipment again. It keeps you there. If you leave, you lose everything.
But the professor told this one story that was, it was wild. He said he knew a customer who bought the new iPhone. Not for the phone, not for the software, but for the phone cases.
I know, it sounds crazy.
So, they spent $1,000 on a device so they could use a $20 piece of plastic on it.
Yes. Because the iPhone has this gigantic market for accessories, for peripherals, you can find any case you can imagine. For some niche Android phone, you get a generic black one.
That's actually kind of brilliant. The extended product, the ability to get a glittery cat case, became the main reason to buy the core product.
It proves you can't look at a product in a vacuum. The customer is buying the entire experience. Self-expression was the value get they cared about most.
Okay, so we have this equation of gets and gives. But the lecture also broke down the gets into different dimensions, right? Physical, psychological, time.
Place and selection. And the main point isn't the list itself, it's that the importance of each one changes completely depending on the situation.
Like ordering a pizza versus buying a wedding ring.
Perfect example. For the pizza, time and place utility are everything. The best pizza in the world is worthless if it shows up in 4 hours. I'm hungry now.
But for a luxury bag,
Time is irrelevant. In fact, a 6-month wait list might actually increase the psychological value. It makes it more exclusive.
it's all tied to the market dynamics, too. The lecture brought up buyer's markets versus seller's markets.
Right. High-end microchips, that's a seller's market. You pay what they ask. But most things we buy, clothes, food, that's a buyer's market. We have endless choice.
And that leads to this paradox I found fascinating, the rational versus emotional paradox. You'd think for basic survival items like a winter coat, we'd be totally rational.
You would. You'd think, does this keep me warm? Yes. Okay, sold.
But that's not what happens.
No. The lecture points out that the more a product meets a basic physical need, the more important the emotional marketing becomes.
Why is that?
Because the basic function is a commodity. Any coat from any store will keep you warm. So to stand out, they can't sell you warmth. They have to sell you adventure or comfort or status.
It's why perfume ads are so weird. They can't sell you the smell on TV.
So they sell you a fantasy instead. When the physical utility is the same everywhere, the emotional utility is the only thing left to compete on.
This emotional targeting. It brings us to the darker part of the lecture, what they call the indulgence economy.
Yeah, this was a trend they noted around 2022. It's the YOLO, you only live once culture.
There was this one quote from the source that just, it was funny and really sad at the same time. Living happily is most important. Eating dirt next month is next month's problem.
It captures it perfectly. It's this focus on immediate gratification. And for businesses, this is a gold rush. We're seeing what used to be elastic demand turn into rigid demand.
Explain that. Rigid usually means essentials, right? Water, electricity, things you buy no matter what.
Things you have to have. But in this indulgence economy, things like mobile games, loot boxes, fast fashion, they start to feel like rigid needs. People feel like they need that dopamine hit right now just to feel okay.
And this is where the AI, Xiaopi, and the professor really started to butt heads.
They really did. Xiaopi took the high road, arguing that businesses and influencers have a social responsibility. You know, guide people to healthy choices, don't use clickbait.
The don't be evil argument,
Yeah,
which sounds great.
of course. But the professor pushed back hard with the survival argument. He said, look, in the creator economy, attention is everything. And what gets attention?
Controversy, negativity, simple dopamine hits.
So his point was, if you take the high road and make ethical but boring content, you just go out of business. I can't be ethical if I'm bankrupt. It's a brutal look at the incentives.
He also made a great point about how right and wrong just aren't static.
Yeah, he used the example of LGBTQ plus acceptance. 20 years ago, a brand supporting that might have been seen as really risky. Today, it's just standard corporate policy. The ethical line is always moving.
So while that debate is happening, businesses have these very cold, hard tools they use to sort us. We have to talk about the RFM matrix.
The classic spreadsheet. Recency, frequency, monetary value.
When you last bought, how often you buy, and how much you spend.
It sounds boring, but it's how they sort you. But the lecture had this amazing example from the gaming industry that flips the whole monetary value thing on its head. The minnows.
Minnows. So
Mhm.
these are the free-to-play people. They play all the time, so high frequency, but they spend zero. Low monetary.
Right. And old school business logic says you fire those customers. They're a cost. They use server space and pay nothing.
But the gaming companies keep them around. Why?
Because of the whales, the big spenders dropping thousands of dollars on the best gear. And here's the dark insight. The whales need someone to beat.
Oh, wow.
If the game only had rich whales, everyone would be maxed out. It wouldn't be fun. They need a huge population of regular players to feel powerful and to dominate.
So if I'm a free player, I'm not the customer.
You're the content. You are part of the product being sold to the whale to make them feel good about their purchase.
That is diabolical.
Yeah.
And kind of brilliant. It just reframes that whole relationship.
It does. And it's why they use other models like the customer pyramid.
Yeah.
It's not just about active customers. You have suspects and prospects.
I love the term suspects. It's like a police lineup.
But it's accurate. A suspect is someone who should be your customer but isn't. Why not? Are they with a competitor? Do they not know you exist?
And then there's a differentiation matrix.
Yeah.
This was basically deciding if you treat me like a number or a unique person.
It's two questions. How different are your needs from other customers? And how different is your value to me?
Give me the number example.
Toilet paper or gasoline. My need for gas is the same as yours. My value to the gas station is about the same. That's mass marketing. Low differentiation on both axes.
And the unique person.
High-end consulting, enterprise software. Your needs are completely unique and your value to me is in the millions. That's one-to-one marketing. I need to know your kids' names because the relationship is the entire product.
But technology is blurring that line, right? Netflix and Amazon are trying to do one-to-one marketing for a mass market product.
Exactly. They want that personalization at scale. I pay the same $15 as you, so we're low-value differentiation, but our needs are treated as highly specific based on what we watch.
Which brings us right back to Xiaopi, the AI from the lecture.
It's the perfect full-circle moment, and AI represents that bridge.
It can talk to 1 million people at once.
But give each of them a personalized answer. It's the ultimate mining machine. It can maintain a relationship with millions of people at the same time.
So if we pull all of this together, we started with the relationship as the asset, my Meyer. We've seen how companies use the value equation to mess with our psychology, making us feel good about spending a fortune. And we've seen how they sort us. Sometimes it's customers, sometimes it's just
fodder for the whales. It's a complex system. And what I liked about this lecture was that tension between the AI and the professor. Because it showed this isn't just about spreadsheets, it's psychology, it's ethics.
It really hammers home that value isn't a number on a spicker, it's a perception. And that perception is being actively engineered.
Absolutely. And in this indulgence economy, where businesses are fighting to survive, they're going to use every tool they have to trigger that rigid demand in us.
Which leaves us with that big unresolved question from the source material. The tension between profit and responsibility.
The AI wants business to be our better angels. The professor says they have to feed our worst habits to pay the bills.
So in a world where we're conditioned to want happiness now and worry about eating dirt later, where does the responsibility actually lie? Is it on the business to stop selling the dirt? Or is it on us to stop demanding it?
As long as we keep buying it, they'll keep mining it. The whole equation only changes if we demand something different.
That's the hope, I guess.
Yeah.
Next time you see something that promises to fix your anxiety, maybe ask yourself, what's the real cost here? Am I the customer or am I the product? Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.